Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to be walking you through 3 ways that you can scale on Google Ads in 2025. Now, I have come across a lot of Google Ads accounts that can get a good fundamental structure in place. They can get some first initial results in the account, but then they reach a plateau where they really struggle to grow beyond it and get more scale and revenue. And that is where this video will help you. If you feel like you're stuck and you just don't know how to scale in Google, I'm going to break down all the different types of scale that you can achieve, exactly how you can do them, and how it's going to help you make more money with Google Ads. So without further ado, let's get right into the content. As you can see here, we have scaled up many brands in the past, so we are very familiar with it. As you can see, over the last Black Friday period, we spent about $1 million and made back 5.8. So certainly well aware of how to scale in Google. So first of all, we have vertical scale. This is the most obvious and common type of scale. It's probably the first one that comes to mind when you think of scaling up your account. And it's just the process of increasing budgets in your account when your North Star metrics are within KPI. Now, what does this mean? This basically means your metric that you're gunning for. So what is the one thing that you want the most out of your ad account? Is it ROAS? Is it a low CPA? Is it high revenue? Is it high profit? Whatever that KPI is, it totally depends on your business. But if your metric is within KPI, your North Star metric, whatever it is you're going for is within KPI. So it's within your realm of a good KPI, a good number, then that is when you should be scaling your budgets, right? And this is something that you must do at a sensible pace, right? So you see, for example, if your North Star metric is ROAS, and let's say you're aiming for a 200% ROAS and your campaigns are at a 300%, that's great. That means you're within KPI and you are primed to scale. So you might go, wow, that's great. Let's just double the budget. That's not a great idea. You want to do it carefully, slowly, and sensibly, because if you spend too much or increase the budget by too much at once, the Google algorithm will struggle to effectively allocate that budget and you'll probably end up wasting money. So how can you do it? Well, 10 to 20% per week is a pretty good estimate. It's sort of a rough guideline, something that I like to work with and recommend. If you're just pushing the campaigns up by 10 to 20% per week and then giving it at least a week to kind of settle and see what results you get after that. If for example, your ROAS or whatever your North Star metric is remains stable after this raise, then you can consider raising it again another 10 to 20% in the next week, and so on and so forth. But you will eventually reach a point where you start to plateau again and you can no longer raise these budgets further, right? And that is when we move on to the other types of scaling. However, I will first say you can scale a little bit faster under special circumstances. So for example, if you're coming into Black Friday and you've just started up your account and you really want to try and make the most out of this period and you're still on low budgets, but you know that you can be spending a lot more and still getting traffic, you can pump it up by more than 10 to 20% per week in the interest of not missing out on traffic or urgent events, right? Because obviously in some cases you want to be forcing the algorithm to learn a bit quicker because you need that time you need to be active in that time and be spending in that time to make the most of it. So you can scale a bit faster. But if you can no longer scale on your budget and you're finding that when you put your budget up, you're getting a poor response from Google, you need to engage in horizontal scaling. So what are the different types of horizontal scaling? First of all, we can work with different campaign types to horizontally scale. So in almost every account, you'll start with search and shopping campaigns. This is almost universal. And those are the 2 fundamental campaigns of Google that are the most common to use and the best ultimately for new customer acquisition in most cases. Now, once you have used those campaigns to their full extent, you've fully saturated your search and shopping campaigns, or even before that, you'll want to start testing with display, right? Display is something that gives you more placements and more reach and more traffic. Initially, I recommend testing this with retargeting because it gives you the best opportunity for a good ROAS, a profitable return. So test out your display campaigns and see if you can get some of that profitable traffic from display placements. This allows you to horizontally scale. It allows you to get placements in more places, bring more traffic in from different sources like display, right? Then after you've tested display, you also want to test PMax. So PMax has display placements along with some additional placements too, some YouTube stuff, and basically just placements everywhere all over Google's network. And you want to be trying out PMax once you have sort of 15 to 30 conversions, once you have a good amount of data to inform the algorithm and tell Google exactly what to look for. And that is another way that you can expand horizontally by introducing a PMax campaign. Then finally, the biggest one is actually demand gen. So demand gen campaigns are made to find more people and more traffic, especially top of funnel traffic. They're the most effective I find on YouTube, but they can also be useful on image and display placements too. And this is only really something I recommend working with when you have like over 50 conversions, because demand gen is a little bit more difficult to get right, and it does require a bit more data in order to target the right people. So I usually only recommend moving into around that 50 plus conversion sort of bottom, but it is very, very good for expansion and top of funnel reach if you are finding that you are capping out on all of your other campaign types. It brings not only direct traffic through from the demand gen campaign, but it brings more traffic into your middle of funnel and bottom of funnel campaigns like PMax, like search, like shopping, because it generates new customers from those ads. So if you haven't already considered it, consider introducing some new campaign types in order to horizontally scale. And then you can obviously vertically scale within these campaign types too. Next up is horizontal scale from theme and category targeting. So are you fully saturating the types of traffic and targeting you are going after? For example, if you're a service-based business, are you advertising all of your potential services? I find that a lot of brands will sort of start advertising one thing and then forget that they sell like 5 other things, right? And they'll get completely focused and sort of tunnel vision on that one service rather than branching out and advertising the others as well. So if you haven't already considered advertising your other services, that's a pretty good idea if you're trying to scale. Also, are you targeting all the potential ways that people search for these services? So for example, if someone is looking for, hedge trimming and your only keyword is one exact match keyword on hedge trimming exactly, whereas someone else might be looking for someone to cut my hedge, that may not match on exact match, right? And therefore you may be missing out on that kind of traffic. So consider expanding your keyword match types or introducing new keywords to make sure that you are targeting all the potential ways that people could be searching for these services. Be careful though, don't just shift everything over to broad match, like with a bunch of keywords, because then you'll go too far and you'll probably get low quality traffic. So you got to walk the line, but do consider expanding your keyword targeting if you're not fully saturating your traffic. If you're an e-commerce brand though, are you promoting all of your product categories to the maximum extent? Again, very similar to the service-based brand. I find a lot of companies and e-commerce businesses that will promote a certain category of their products. For example, on Nike here, maybe they might promote their shoes, but completely forget to promote their golf gear, right? And these are just additional ways to kind of break into a new market, break into a whole new segment of traffic and get more profitable traffic through to the brand. So make sure that you are promoting all of your product categories to the maximum extent, if they're profitable, of course. Do your GMC listings have detailed descriptions that allow you to reach all potential traffic? So this is another big one. If you have poorly optimized Google Merchant Center products with low quality descriptions, not very rich descriptions, kind of not much in there, Google's gonna have a hard time targeting the right people and showing your ads to interested parties, right? So the more information that you can load into your Google Merchant Center descriptions and titles, the more likely you are to get that high quality traffic at scale. So I highly recommend making sure that your GMC listings are fully updated and fully enriched with data. Finally, can you duplicate your products to try and approach another angle or problem? Now, this is another interesting one with e-commerce brands. So if you, for example, are a skincare brand and you're targeting, let's say, acne solutions, clearing up acne, you could also approach it from the angle of anti-aging serum, right? So maybe not only can your skincare clear up acne, but it can also reduce or reverse aging in older audiences, right? So this is another angle. And what you can actually do, a bit of a trick kind of, is you can go into your Google Merchant Center products, you can duplicate your product and you can make the new product a lot more focused towards a specific angle. So what that is going to do is it's going to target this new product more towards people who are interested in anti-aging skincare. And then your initial product will still be targeted towards people who are interested in acne removal. So that way you can hit 2 different audiences at the same time with the same product and expand your range of targeting, often profitably too. And then finally, not finally actually, second to last, we have a horizontal scale with geographic and audience targeting. So have you tested advertising to all of your serviceable locations? This is another one that I find you may actually find even better performers than your initial targets. I know a lot of brands that they start in the US because they're a US based brand, and they just forget that they can advertise to other countries, right? They'll advertise to the US for months and months and months and not even try introducing it in other countries that they can ship to with quick shipping, with good delivery, things like that. Make sure that you actually are testing every possible serviceable location, because if you open up, for example, in the EU market, you've been in the US this whole time and then you just jump into the EU, there's a very good chance that you can, up to double your overall revenue coming through Google Ads, which is pretty enormous. And sometimes you can do it at an even better efficiency. So absolutely recommend testing new geos if you haven't already. And then, are you investing enough in your highest performing regions? So like I said, again, people will often, even try advertising in other locations, and they get a good performance, but then they just don't put more money into it. So if you're getting a good performance in another region, keep pushing more budget towards it, keep spending more in that region, because you will reach a point eventually where you'll cap out, but you probably aren't hitting that level yet, right? Are you limiting yourself to a specific audience, and have you tried expanding beyond it? So finally, this is something that I see in some accounts. So some people will start their account by targeting a very specific audience. Maybe it's males over 30 years old, but they don't necessarily need to. They just choose because that's their ICP. And then maybe they get to a point where they go, oh, I can't scale any further. Well, maybe you should try loosening your targeting a little bit. See if you can get some profitable results from other audiences, other groups. And that way you could potentially, again, expand your audience and still get a good response from it. All right, now we've got the horizontal scale with funnel stage. This is probably the biggest unlock for growth. It's the hardest, but it also has the most potential. So are you advertising to all stages of the funnel? Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Most brands start with bottom of funnel and never expand beyond middle of funnel, right? So they'll start by advertising on their branded terms, on people who have very high intent searches. So, for example, someone selling a frying pan would advertise to people searching for best frying pan to buy, or people just searching for buy frying pan now, also for their brand name. And then middle of funnel, which is kind of people with more intent. But top of funnel is inevitably the segment of the market with the most people in it. Although they have the lowest intent, the most people are in it. They don't have immediate kind of intent to purchase a product, but they do have interest in the product, and there's a very high chance that you can convert them in a lot of cases. So for example, here I've put up a little example on what works really well with top of funnel traffic is advertorial or sales style pages. So these are pages where you can educate the user before trying to sell them your product. So imagine someone here is searching for, so this is an example of someone selling a titanium cutting board here. Now imagine someone in the top of funnel segment is searching for, why are microplastics bad for me? That's just super top of funnel, no interest in a cutting board, hasn't even thought about it. But then you give them this ad, right? Okay, 7 reasons why titanium cutting boards, let's imagine this, to avoid microplastic contamination. They see this article as an ad and they go, oh wow, I didn't realize my cutting board was giving me microplastic contamination. They click to this, they go through this whole page, which is education, explaining why these plastic cutting boards are so dangerous, why they can give you contamination and microplastics, et cetera, et cetera. And then by the end of the page, they go, oh, by the way, you can buy our titanium cutting board if you like, and maybe it'll help you avoid those microplastics. And so it's a really good way to convert the top of funnel, educate them, show them why they're having a problem, introduce them to the problem, and then introduce a solution, which is your product, right? And this is a really big market and a really big segment that if you can tap into profitably, can give you massive, massive returns on revenue. So highly recommend trying the top of funnel advertising with something like a sales advertorial page. I think it'll give you a really good chance at success. And that is usually the most complex way that you can scale horizontally. If you want scale like this and you want to achieve results like we have here with this brand who added over $1 million over a 30-day period in the Black Friday, Cyber Monday period, that's over $1 million in additional revenue. Pretty crazy with Google. We just did that by setting up their account in an effective manner. If you're interested in results like this, feel free to book a call with the link below to learn more about exactly how we can help you scale your Google Ads. Otherwise, that is all from me today. If you have any suggestions for future videos, or again, if you want some help, feel free to drop a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.